What happens when a prince walks into a talk show expecting royal treatment but gets hit with real questions instead? In just 34 seconds, one comment would turn a simple interview into television history. One moment of entitlement would expose everything viewers suspected all along. And it only took one question from Anderson Cooper to make Prince Harry completely lose his composure on live television. Before we dive into this absolutely wild moment, make sure you hit that subscribe button and drop a comment below telling me your thoughts on what went down. Trust me, you're going to want to share your opinion after hearing this. So let's set the scene. Anderson Cooper's studio. The lights are bright, the cameras are rolling, and Prince Harry walks in with that usual confidence. You know the type. The kind of confidence that comes from never really being told no your entire life. He sits down across from Anderson, and right away, you can feel something is different about this interview. Anderson isn't doing the usual softball questions. He's not there to make Harry feel comfortable. He's there to do his job as a journalist. The interview starts normal enough. Anderson welcomes Harry to the show, thanks him for coming. Harry gives that practice smile, the one he's used 1,000 times in front of cameras. But Anderson doesn't waste time with small talk. He goes straight into it. Anderson leans forward and says, "So Harry, let's talk about your recent comments regarding the media. You've said that journalists have made your life unbearable, but you've also done multiple interviews, a documentary series, and written a book sharing intimate details of your life. How do you reconcile wanting privacy while constantly being in the public eye?" You can see it, right there. Harry's smile fades just a little bit. His jaw tightens. He wasn't expecting Anderson to come out swinging like that. He shifts in his seat and responds, "Well, Anderson, I think you're misunderstanding the situation entirely. There's a difference between controlling your own narrative and being hunted by photographers." Anderson nods slowly. He's not backing down. "I understand that distinction, but you've shared private conversations, family disputes, and personal moments that other people might have wanted to keep private. Doesn't that make you part of the problem you're criticizing?" Oh, this is where it gets good. Harry's face changes. The mask slips. He sits up straighter and his voice gets sharper. "I shared my story, my truth. Those are my experiences to share. Nobody else has the right to tell my story." Anderson stays calm, professional. "But some of those stories involve other people. Your brother, your father, people who haven't had the chance to share their side. Is that fair?" Harry actually laughs, but it's not a friendly laugh. It's defensive. It's uncomfortable. "Fair? You want to talk about fair? Is it fair that I was chased my entire life? Is it fair that my mother died because of photographers? Don't talk to me about fair, Anderson." The studio goes quiet. Anderson doesn't flinch. He just looks at Harry and says very calmly, "I'm not diminishing what happened to your mother. That was a tragedy. But we're talking about your choices now, your decisions to share private information about living people who can't defend themselves without looking like they're attacking you." Harry's face is red now. You can see his hands gripping the armrests of his chair. "You clearly brought me here to attack me. This isn't a real interview. This is a hit job." Anderson shakes his head. "I brought you here to ask questions. That's what journalists do. If you can't handle basic questions about your public statements, maybe you shouldn't be doing interviews." That's when Harry stands up during the interview. "Maybe I shouldn't be here at all. You're just like the rest of them. You don't care about the truth. You just want to tear me down." Anderson remains seated, still calm. "Harry, I'm asking you to explain your own words, your own actions. If that feels like an attack, maybe you should examine why." Harry points at Anderson, actually points at him like a child throwing a tantrum. "You don't get to psychoanalyze me. You don't know what I've been through. You don't know the pressure. You sit here in your comfortable studio making millions of dollars asking gotcha questions, and you think you understand my life?" Anderson finally shows a hint of emotion. His eyebrow raises. "I'm not claiming to understand your life. I'm asking you to explain the contradictions in your public statements. That's literally my job." Harry starts pacing. He's not sitting anymore. He's walking back and forth behind his chair like he can't contain his energy. Your job, right? Your job is to make people look bad, to twist their words, to create drama for ratings. Well, congratulations, Anderson. You got your drama. The camera cuts to Anderson. His face is serious now. "Harry, if you want to leave, you're free to leave. But I think walking out of an interview because you don't like the questions proves the point I was making." Oh, that did it. Harry stops pacing. He turns to look directly at Anderson. "What point? What point are you making exactly?" Anderson stands up now too. He's still composed, but he's not going to let Harry tower over him. That you want all the benefits of being in the public eye, the platform, the influence, the money from tell-all projects, but none of the accountability that comes with it. You want to be able to say whatever you want about anyone, but the moment someone asks you a fair question, you claim you're being victimized. Harry's mouth drops open. He actually looks shocked, like nobody has ever said this to him before. You have no idea what you're talking about. No idea. Anderson crosses his arms. Then explain it to me. That's why you're here. Explain how it's different. Harry starts talking faster now. His words are tumbling out. I came here thinking you were different, thinking you actually cared about real issues. But you're just another talking head reading questions some producer wrote for you. You're not even a real journalist. The audience gasps. You can hear it. That collective intake of breath. Because Harry just crossed a line. Anderson has been doing serious journalism for decades. War zones, disaster coverage, investigative reporting. And Harry just dismissed all of that. Anderson's voice gets quieter, colder. I've reported from war zones. I've covered tsunamis and earthquakes. I've interviewed presidents and dictators. I've done this job for over 30 years. You've done a handful of prearranged interviews where you controlled the questions. Don't lecture me about journalism. Harry laughs again. That bitter, angry laugh. Oh, here we go. The credentials, the resume. Good for you, Anderson. You want a medal? You want me to bow down because you've been on television for a long time? Anderson takes a deep breath. You can see him choosing his words carefully. I want you to show some respect. Not to me personally, but to the process. You agreed to this interview. You knew it would involve questions. If you only want people to nod along and agree with everything you say, hire a publicist. Don't come on a news program. Harry moves toward the edge of the set, like he's about to walk off, but he stops. He turns back. You know what your problem is, Anderson? You've been doing this so long, you think you're untouchable. You think you can say whatever you want to whoever you want and hide behind journalism. Anderson tilts his head. No, I think I can ask legitimate questions and expect adults to answer them without having a meltdown. Clearly, I was wrong about that. The studio is so quiet, you could hear a pin drop. Everyone is frozen. The crew, the audience. Everyone is watching to see what happens next. Harry's face is completely red now. His fists are clenched. A meltdown? You think this is a meltdown? You haven't seen anything yet. Anderson raises his hand slightly. Harry, let's take a breath. Sit back down. We can continue this conversation like adults. But Harry is done pretending. Adults? You want to talk about being an adult? An adult would have the decency to understand what someone has been through before judging them. An adult would show some compassion. Anderson nods. I have compassion for what you've experienced. That doesn't mean I can't ask you questions about your choices. Harry shakes his head violently. No, you don't get it. You don't get to separate those things. My choices are because of what I've been through. You can't understand them without understanding the context. Anderson walks a few steps closer, still keeping distance but engaging. Then give me the context. Explain it. That's what I've been asking you to do for the last 10 minutes. Harry throws his hands up. I wrote an entire book explaining it. I did a whole documentary explaining it. If you can't understand after all of that, you're not trying to understand. You're trying to catch me in something. Anderson stops moving. He just stands there looking at Harry. Catch you in what exactly? What are you afraid I'm going to expose? That question hangs in the air. Harry freezes. Because Anderson just flipped the whole thing. He's not on the defensive anymore. Now Harry is the one who has to explain himself, and you can see Harry realizes it too. His expression changes. He looks trapped. I'm not afraid of anything, Harry says, but his voice isn't as strong anymore. I just know how people like you operate. Anderson sits back down in his chair. Casual. Relaxed. People like me. Okay, tell me about people like me. Harry is still standing, still agitated. You ask questions that sound innocent, but they're loaded. You're trying to make me look bad. You're trying to make it seem like I'm the problem when I'm the victim here. Anderson leans back. Harry, nobody is trying to make you look like anything. You're doing this yourself. I asked you a straightforward question about reconciling your desire for privacy with your public projects. That's not a gotcha question. That's a basic question anyone would ask. Harry starts pacing again. See, that's exactly what I'm talking about. You act like it's simple, like there's an easy answer. But nothing about my situation is simple. Nothing. Anderson nods. You're right. It's not simple. So help me understand the complexity. Walk me through your thinking. Harry stops and looks at Anderson like he's trying to figure out if this is a trick. My thinking is that I deserve to tell my side after years of lies being printed about me, after years of being portrayed as something I'm not. Anderson leans forward, engaged, listening. Okay, I can understand that. But when you tell your side, you're also telling other people's stories, stories they might not want told. How do you balance that? Harry's jaw clenches again. They had the chance to stop the lies. They could have defended me. They chose not to. So yes, I told the truth. All of it. Anderson raises his eyebrows. So it's revenge? Harry's eyes go wide. What? No, it's not revenge. It's truth. Anderson shrugs slightly. But you just said they could have defended you and chose not to, so you told their stories. That sounds like retaliation. Harry points at Anderson again. You're twisting my words. That's exactly what I said you'd do. Anderson shakes his head slowly. I'm using your exact words. You said they could have defended you, but chose not to, and that's why you told all of it. Those were your words, not mine. Harry looks around the studio, at the cameras, at the crew, like he's looking for someone to back him up, but everyone is just watching, waiting. This is insane. You're putting words in my mouth. Anderson picks up his notes from the desk. Would you like me to play back what you just said? We have it on tape. Harry's face goes even redder. I know what I said. I don't need you to play it back. Anderson puts the notes down. Then what's the problem? I'm just responding to what you're telling me. Harry runs his hand through his hair. He looks frustrated, cornered. The problem is you're making it sound bad. You're making it sound like I did something wrong. Anderson speaks very clearly, very calmly. I'm not making it sound like anything. I'm asking you questions. How it sounds is based on your answers. Harry suddenly laughs, but it's not a real laugh. It's almost manic. Wow. Okay. So now it's my fault. Everything is always my fault, right? That's the narrative. Anderson doesn't laugh. He stays serious. What narrative, Harry? The one you're creating right now by refusing to engage with simple questions. Harry walks right up to Anderson's desk. He's leaning over it now, invading Anderson's space. Simple questions. Right. Nothing is simple with you people. Every question has an agenda. Anderson doesn't move back. He doesn't flinch. The only agenda I have is getting answers. That's what interviews are for. Harry slams his hand on the desk. Actually slams it. The sound echoes through the studio. Don't patronize me. Don't sit there acting like you're just doing your job when we both know what this is. Anderson's voice stays level. What is this, Harry? Tell me what you think this is. Harry leans in closer. This is a setup. This whole thing. You invited me here to humiliate me, to make me look unstable. Well, congratulations. You got what you wanted. Anderson finally shows some frustration, just a hint. I invited you here to have a conversation. You're the one who's yelling and slamming desks and refusing to answer basic questions. I'm not making you do any of this. Harry steps back from the desk. You pushed me to this. You kept pushing and pushing with your questions. Anderson stands up again. I asked you maybe 5 questions total. 5. And you've had a breakdown. That's not me pushing you. That's you not being able to handle the most basic interview format. Harry's breathing is heavy now. You can see his chest rising and falling. You don't get to tell me how I should react. You don't get to judge my responses. Anderson crosses his arms. I'm not judging your responses. I'm observing them. And what I'm observing is someone who can't handle being asked to explain themselves. Harry looks directly into the camera. Not at Anderson, at the camera. Do you see this? Do you all see what he's doing? This is what they do. They push you until you react, and then they blame you for reacting. Anderson turns to look at the same camera. What I'm doing is my job, asking questions. That's it. If that feels like pushing, maybe examine why you're so defensive. Harry spins back to face Anderson. Defensive? You think I'm being defensive? I'm being attacked. There's a difference. Anderson uncrosses his arms. How are you being attacked? By being asked to clarify your public statements? That's an attack? Harry starts listing things on his fingers. You questioned my motives. You called what I did revenge. You suggested I can't handle interviews. You've been attacking me this entire time. Anderson counts off on his own fingers. I asked if it was revenge. I didn't call it that. You got upset when I used your own words. And I only suggested you can't handle interviews after you stood up, paced around, slammed my desk, and yelled at me. So yes, Harry, you're proving you can't handle this. The audience is completely silent. You could hear someone breathe. Everyone is watching this meltdown happen in real time. Harry looks around again. He seems to realize how bad this looks. How bad he looks. I came here in good faith, Harry says, his voice quieter now but still angry. I came here thinking we could have a real conversation. Anderson sits back down. We can still have a real conversation. Sit down. Take a breath. Answer the questions. Harry doesn't sit down. Your questions aren't real. They're designed to trap me. Anderson sighs. Actually sighs. Harry, I've interviewed terrorists. I've interviewed war criminals. I've interviewed corrupt politicians. They all sat there and answered questions, but you can't. Why is that? Harry's mouth opens, closes, opens again. Are you comparing me to terrorists now? Is that what you're doing? Anderson closes his eyes for a second, like he's asking for patience. I'm not comparing you to anyone. I'm pointing out that people who have done terrible things can sit through an interview, but you can't answer questions about your book and your TV projects. Think about that. Harry's voice gets louder again, because they don't have anything to lose. They're already seen as bad. I'm trying to change my reputation and you're destroying it. Anderson looks directly at Harry. I'm not destroying anything. You're destroying it yourself. Right now. On camera. In front of everyone. Harry shakes his head over and over. No. This is your fault. You made this happen. Anderson stands up one more time. I'm going to say this very clearly. I asked you normal interview questions. You couldn't handle them. You got angry. You got aggressive. You slammed my desk. You yelled. You paced. You refused to engage. I didn't make you do any of that. You chose to do all of it. Harry's voice cracks a little. You don't understand the pressure I'm under. You don't understand what it's like. Anderson's voice softens just slightly. You're right. I don't. But that doesn't mean you get to behave this way. That doesn't mean you get to avoid accountability. Harry looks down. For the first time, he looks down. I'm not avoiding anything. Anderson takes a step toward him. Then sit down. Answer the questions. Show people you can handle a normal conversation. Harry looks up. There are actually tears in his eyes now. But he's still angry. I don't have to prove anything to you or to anyone watching this. Anderson nods slowly. You're right. You don't have to prove anything. But you came on this show. You agreed to this interview. So what exactly did you think was going to happen? Harry wipes his eyes quickly, like he's embarrassed that he got emotional. I thought I'd get to share my perspective. I thought you'd actually listen. Anderson spreads his hands out. I am listening. I've been listening this whole time. But listening doesn't mean agreeing with everything you say. It doesn't mean not asking follow-up questions. Harry's voice is shaky now. You're not asking follow-up questions. You're interrogating me. There's a difference. Anderson sits on the edge of his desk. More casual now, trying to bring the temperature down. Okay, let's reset. Let's start over. What do you want people to know? What's the main thing you want to communicate? Harry looks suspicious. Why? So you can twist it? Anderson shakes his head. No twisting. Just talk to me. Forget the cameras for a second. What do you want to say? Harry looks around the studio again. He's thinking, considering. I want people to understand that I didn't have a choice. I had to leave. I had to protect my family. Anderson nods. Okay, I can understand that instinct. But you didn't just leave quietly. You did interviews. You wrote a book. You made a documentary. Why? Harry's defenses go back up. Because people needed to know the truth. Anderson leans forward. But whose truth? Yours. What about everyone else's truth? Harry throws his hands up again. Here we go again. Back to the same thing. Anderson stays calm. Yes, back to the same thing. Because you're not answering it. You're dancing around it. You keep saying you had to tell your truth, but you told other people's stories too. Stories that hurt them. Stories that made them look bad. How is that fair? Harry's voice gets loud again. They made me look bad for years. And nobody cared. Nobody asked if that was fair. Anderson stands up from the desk. 2 wrongs don't make a right, Harry. You know that. Harry laughs that bitter laugh again. Oh, so now you're giving me life lessons? That's rich. Anderson doesn't react to the sarcasm. I'm trying to understand your logic. You felt wronged, so you wronged others. Is that what you're saying? Harry steps closer to Anderson again. His voice is intense. I didn't wrong anyone. I told the truth. If the truth makes them look bad, that's on them. Anderson meets his gaze. Doesn't back down. But you chose which truths to tell. You chose which stories to share. You chose what to include and what to leave out. That's not just truth. That's curation. That's narrative building. Harry's face twists. Now you're twisting things again, making it sound calculated. Anderson tilts his head. Was it not calculated? Did you not think about what you were going to say? Did you not plan it out? Harry hesitates. Of course I thought about it, but that doesn't mean it wasn't true. Anderson nods. Nobody is saying it wasn't true. I'm saying you chose to tell certain truths that hurt certain people, and you're not taking responsibility for that choice. Harry's voice cracks again. I take responsibility. I take full responsibility for everything I've said. Anderson watches him carefully. Then why are you so angry? If you take full responsibility, why does it bother you when people ask you about it? Harry looks lost for a moment, like he doesn't know how to answer. Because you're making it sound like I did something wrong. Anderson speaks very gently now. Harry, I'm not making it sound like anything. I'm asking you questions. The way it sounds is based on your answers and your reactions. Harry shakes his head. No, you know exactly what you're doing. Every journalist does. You ask questions in a way that makes people look bad no matter how they answer. Anderson crosses his arms. Give me an example. Which question did that? Harry stammers. All of them. Every single one. Anderson actually laughs a little. Not mean. Just genuinely surprised. Every question I asked was designed to make you look bad? Even when I asked you what you wanted people to know? Harry points at him. Yes, even that. Because you followed it up with more attacks. Anderson uncrosses his arms. I followed it up with questions. That's how conversations work. You say something, I ask about it. Back and forth. Harry's breathing is getting heavier again. This isn't a conversation. This is an ambush. Anderson's patience is wearing thin now. You can hear it in his voice. Harry, you've used the words ambush, setup, hit job, and attack. You've accused me of twisting your words, not being a real journalist, and trying to make you look bad. But all I've done is ask you to explain your own public statements. If that feels like an attack, that says more about you than it does about me. Harry's face goes bright red again. Don't try to psychoanalyze me. You're not qualified. Anderson almost smiles. I don't need to be. You're doing it yourself. Right here, right now, everyone watching can see it. Harry looks at the camera again. What you see is someone being attacked, someone being cornered, someone being treated unfairly. Anderson looks at the same camera. What I see is someone who can't handle basic questions, someone who agreed to an interview but doesn't want to be interviewed, someone who wants a platform but not accountability. Harry spins to face Anderson. That's it. I'm done. I'm not staying here to be insulted. Anderson doesn't try to stop him. I haven't insulted you once. I've asked you questions. Harry starts walking toward the exit. Your questions are insults. Anderson follows a few steps. How? Explain how. Harry stops and turns around. You want to know how? Fine. You implied I'm a hypocrite. You implied I'm doing this for revenge. You implied I can't handle criticism. You implied I'm destroying my own reputation. Those are all insults disguised as questions. Anderson shakes his head. I asked if you were being hypocritical. I asked if it was revenge. I observed that you're having trouble with this interview, and I pointed out that your behavior right now is affecting how people see you. Those are observations and questions, not insults. Harry laughs loudly. Semantics. You're hiding behind semantics. Anderson raises his voice slightly for the first time. No, Harry. Words matter. Intent matters. I'm trying to have a substantive conversation with you and you are refusing to participate. Instead, you're having a meltdown and blaming me for it. Harry walks back toward Anderson, gets close to his face. I am not having a meltdown. Anderson doesn't move, doesn't flinch. You're yelling, you're crying. You've slammed my desk. You've paced back and forth. You've threatened to leave 3 times. You've accused me of things I haven't done. If this isn't a meltdown, what is it? Harry's voice is quiet now. Dangerous quiet. This is me standing up for myself. Anderson matches his quiet tone. No, this is you being unable to handle accountability. There's a big difference. Harry shoves Anderson, actually puts his hands on him and shoves him. Not hard, but enough. Enough that 2 security guards immediately step onto the set. Anderson stumbles back a step but catches himself. His face is shocked. Did you just put your hands on me? Anderson asks, his voice incredulous. Harry realizes what he just did. His eyes go wide. You pushed me to that. You kept pushing. Anderson looks at the security guards, then back at Harry. I pushed you to physically assault me by asking you questions? Do you hear yourself? Harry backs away. I didn't assault you. I barely touched you. Anderson points to the cameras. It's all on tape. Everyone saw it. You just put your hands on me because I asked you questions you didn't like. Harry looks panicked now. It wasn't like that. You're making it sound worse than it was. Anderson's voice is firm, controlled, but angry. You put your hands on me during an interview, on live television. There's no other way to make that sound. Harry looks at the security guards, then at Anderson. I'm sorry. Okay? I'm sorry. I got caught up in the moment. Anderson nods to the security guards, but waves them back slightly. Caught up in the moment? Harry, that's not an excuse. You can't put your hands on people because you're frustrated. Harry's voice is desperate now. I know. You kept pushing and I snapped. Anderson takes a deep breath. I kept asking questions. That's my job. And you snapped, which proves every point I was making. Harry runs his hands through his hair. He looks completely lost. This is a disaster. This whole thing is a disaster. Anderson straightens his jacket. Yes, it is. But it didn't have to be. You could have just answered the questions. Harry looks like he might cry again. I can't do this. I can't be here anymore. Anderson nods. I think that's best. I think you should leave. Harry's eyes snap up. You're kicking me out? Anderson crosses his arms. You just shoved me. Yes, I'm asking you to leave. Harry's voice gets defensive again. I apologized. Anderson's voice is ice cold. And I'm still asking you to leave. You crossed a line. A big one. Harry looks around desperately. Can we cut that part? Can we edit it out? Anderson actually looks offended. Absolutely not. This is news. This happened. We're not covering it up. Harry's face drains of color. You're going to air that? Me pushing you? Anderson nods. Yes, because it happened. Because people need to see how you react when you're challenged. Harry's voice is shaking. That will destroy me. You know that will destroy me. Anderson's expression doesn't change. You destroyed yourself. I just happened to be here when you did it. Harry takes a step toward Anderson. The security guards tense up. Please don't air that. I made a mistake. Anderson holds up his hand to keep the guards back. You made several mistakes, starting with thinking you could come on a news program and not be asked real questions. Harry's shoulders slump. He looks defeated. What do you want from me? Anderson's voice softens just a tiny bit. I wanted honest answers. That's all I ever wanted. But instead, you gave me a performance, a meltdown, and an assault. That's what I got. Harry wipes his eyes. I didn't mean for it to go like this. Anderson uncrosses his arms. Then what did you mean? What was your plan coming here? Harry's voice is barely above a whisper. I thought people would understand. I thought if I just explained, they'd get it. Anderson nods slowly. But you didn't explain. You got defensive. You attacked me. You refused to engage with the actual substance. Harry looks at the floor. I don't know how to do this. I don't know how to make people understand. Anderson's voice is gentler now, but still firm. Start by taking responsibility, real responsibility. Not the kind where you apologize, but then blame everyone else. The kind where you acknowledge your choices and their consequences. Harry looks up. I do take responsibility. Anderson shakes his head slightly. Do you? Because every time I asked you about your choices, you blamed other people, your family, the media, me, everyone but yourself. Harry's jaw tightens. Even now, even after everything, he looks like he wants to argue. But he doesn't. He just stands there. Anderson watches him for a moment. I think you should go. This interview is over. Harry nods slowly, defeated. He starts walking toward the exit. Then he stops, turns back. For what it's worth, I really am sorry. About the push, that was wrong. Anderson nods once. Yes, it was. Harry turns and walks off the set. The cameras follow him until he disappears. Anderson stands there for a moment. Then he looks directly at the camera, at the audience. His face is serious. We're going to take a break, Anderson says. His voice is steady, but you can hear the emotion underneath. When we come back, we'll discuss what just happened here